I'm going to share a little secret with you today about homeschooling. You do not have to complete all of the years of middle school. You can actually skip middle school, all or part of it if you want to, because homeschooling is all about flexibility and it's about following the needs of your children and learning alongside them and just following their interest and moving ahead when they're ready, or reviewing when they're not ready. If they need to work a little bit behind maybe their grade level, you have the flexibility to let them learn on their ability level. So today I'm going to share a little bit about skipping middle school. So you can actually skip the middle school years and catapult straight into the high school years, start earning the high school credit. Your homeschooler can graduate early. They can start dual enrollment at the time that they're doing some of their high school level work, or they can just simply graduate early and go off to college at a younger age if they are ready. So today I'm going to share a little bit about middle school and about whether or not you should skip and how you can skip some work for your child. So I attended a webinar several years ago that talked about just completely skipping middle school. Middle school was totally unnecessary. It's just doing all the high school level work at a little bit lower level. There was no point in doing the same things twice because then you're going to do them again in college, so you might as well just kind of get it done. So it's kind of like the concept of in high school going ahead and doing dual credit, because why are you taking a certain subject in high school and then turning around and doing the same exact one-on-one class in college? It makes sense just to do it at the same time and have it done. So that was kind of the same concept with this skipping middle school concept. Why do things in middle school, turn around and do them in high school, and then go off to college and do them again? Well, some of the kids need to learn that way, but not all of them do. So if your child is ready, you really can skip middle school. I am giving you permission. It is possible to skip your child ahead a grade or 2 or 3 or whatever they are ready for. So can you skip middle school, and should you skip middle school with your child? First, I'm going to talk about the reasons why you should not skip middle school. So there are some reasons not to skip middle school, and here they are. If you've ever tried to homeschool a middle schooler, I am right now, you will know that they are super challenging. Some days they wake up and they have no idea what you're talking about. They can't add, subtract, multiply, or divide, and they don't know a noun from a verb. There are days where you think their entire brain has just walked out the door. And yeah, that is what has basically happened. All of the connections are rewiring as they grow and change, and things are just not connecting, and they are completely confused. As they go through all of these emotional and physical changes, there are lots of brain changes going on that make learning really, really difficult. They can be a huge mess of emotional challenges, and so sometimes you might need to focus more on their character than on their academics. So if your child is going through that where they are just not ready for higher level learning because they need to focus on getting their emotions under control, they really need to focus more on their character, then no, do not skip ahead. Do not skip middle school. Don't add more academic work on top of all of their emotional and physical changes that they're not coping very well with, and cause them to be frustrated and overwhelmed and feel like that they're a failure. So do not compound all of their difficulties if they are really struggling in some of those years. Middle school is a really good time to focus more on life skills, more on character, than to focus on academics. So if your child needs to kind of take a little bit of a middle school year where they still do the basics, the math, and the language arts, and they're still learning, they're still reading, but they need to maybe focus a little bit more on just life skills and learning how to self-regulate, learning about self-care, learning about character, then that's definitely something that you should just kind of step back and do before trying to move forward. So you cannot focus on those things if you're trying to drag them through high school level curriculum when they're completely not ready. So the middle school years need to set a foundation for success in high school where they've really understood the basics, they have a really solid foundation, and they're ready for higher level learning. If your child does not have that foundation fully set, then do not skip ahead. Definitely work to set the foundation. It may only take a year of the middle school years. It may take more than a year. So they may need that full middle school experience to really set a good foundation for moving into high school and college level work. Okay, so what if your child is ready? So can you skip middle school? It might really work for you. So if you are thinking about this, I recommend trying it with just one subject first. Think about what your child's strengths are, what subject they do really well with, and just try a high school level course in that one subject. and see how they handle the increased workload. If they're not able to keep up, if they're overwhelmed, if they don't have good life skills of time management, they don't have good character qualities of being diligent, they're not going to do well with the increased load and the increased independence, working a little bit more on their own. So definitely try it first. Try it with one subject. If they do terrible with that subject, don't count it as a high school course that goes on their transcript. Just know that it was a trial run. You can give them a middle school credit for that course, but it doesn't have to go on their permanent transcript that's going to go off to colleges because it was just a trial run, and obviously they weren't ready. If they do well, then you can kind of move ahead and start adding other subjects to their academic load, just in order of their strength. The key is really knowing your child and being able to assess if they're really ready for the challenge, or if they would be better served by having lighter academic years and focusing more on character and life skills. So if you decide to go ahead and skip some of the middle school, whether it's in one subject or all of the subjects, you need to think about a couple things. You need to, number one, plan to work at the pace of your child. It might take more than one academic year to finish a high school level course, and that's okay. They're still earning that high school credit, just at a slow pace. And it still can go on their transcript, and that is fine, but it may just take them a little bit longer to work through that. You also need to, number two, plan to give some extra support and hand-holding, because your goal is that they will learn how to manage their time, manage their learning, be independent learners, so they might need some help walking through those steps as they're kind of diving into this more challenging curriculum. So be prepared to help them with that. While the high school level curriculum might be completely designed for them to be very independent, they might not quite be ready for that. So don't just hand them the book and just send them off. Be prepared to kind of help them, sit by them when they need it, go over it, do a lot of spot checking just to make sure that they are doing what they need to do. So middle schoolers might need that extra help. They might need some help talking through their writing prompts. They might need help planning for their essays and planning for their time management. So make sure you give them lots of examples and things so that they're really building the foundation for how to do it on their own as they get older, but they might need a little more help. And number three, you really need to help them with time management. That is something a lot of students struggle with in high school and even in college. My husband, as a college professor, can attest that many of his students do not have good time management skills, and it really affects their learning and their grades. It causes a lot of them to not do well in classes or to completely fail classes. So it's really important that you teach your child how to manage their time. Buy them the planner, start helping them plan it out. Don't just hand it to them and assume that they will know the best way to use it. Help them find a planning method that works for them. So, and then provide lots of reminders. Oh, are you working on your essay that's due on Friday? It's Tuesday. Have you started writing an outline? Have you started brainstorming? What's your topic going to be? Just kind of start walking them through that so that they can learn how to plan ahead and not be the procrastinator that most of us are and that most students are in college. So you'll need to help them with that multiple times. It's not a once and done type of thing. Then we'll need lots of help walking through time management and the steps for planning. So really focus on study skills that will help them be successful in high school and college. So middle school years can kind of be an in-between. Your child is not really a child, they're not really an adult, they're kind of confused, they don't know who they are, you don't know who they are because they're suddenly this moody and kind of explosive personality who loves to argue with you, who one day wakes up with all kinds of curiosity and learns all kinds of things on their own, and then the next morning wakes up and they don't understand even basic math. And so they're just kind of in this weird in-between place. And so if your child is ready, you can definitely start moving them on ahead, helping them learn those skills that will help them be successful in high school and college learning. And you can go ahead and just start college credit. You can. And but if they're not ready, definitely don't try to push them ahead before they're ready, because it will really backfire and it will not go well. So if your child is ready, know your child, do an assessment, try one course first. If they do well, then they might be ready to skip some of the middle school years. You don't have to skip all of middle school. You can do, sixth grade can kind of be a year of middle school where you focus more on character, time management. Seventh grade, you could try one or two high school classes, see how it goes. And by eighth grade, they might be ready to work completely on high school credit and not be doing a lot of middle school level work, but earning high school credit instead. So it kind of puts them graduating a year earlier. But definitely you need to know your child. If they're ready, definitely skip ahead. you have permission. You are the parent. You are the one who knows them best, and you are able to decide how they best learn and what level they're ready for. So if you are ready for it, you can skip middle school. My daughter is skipping 8th grade and just moving right into 9th grade. She was ready for high school level work in 8th grade, so we're going ahead and doing that. She earned, I think, 1 high school credit, will be 2 credits in my state, but she earned that in her 7th grade year, and now as an 8th grader she's ready to just move on ahead and focus more on high school level learning. But I know not all of my children will follow that. Some might be ready earlier and some might not truly be ready until high school. So I'm just going to work at their pace. I'm going to evaluate each child individually, but know that you have that flexibility to do it however you would like. Okay, be sure to like and subscribe below. I post new videos weekly with homeschool tips. I lately have been focusing a lot on the middle school years because they are often overlooked, and I want to make sure that you all have some tips and resources to help you get through those times because it is really challenging but rewarding to homeschool in middle school.